Proudly brought to you by NHP. NHP, we are about you.
99 FM, welcome back into It's time now for Master Your Destiny Heart, one of the interviews that I really have been looking forward to today. We're kicking things off with Movember. I mean, we are in November, so we're celebrating Movember, and Movember is like the leading global organization that's just really committed to changing the face of men's health. And we're starting this week with healing, but so much so in terms of mental health in men. And I have here Rubben Mabuku, who is an audio and visual specialist, because we realized that some men find it very hard to talk about mental health, and I wanted Rubben here so that we start supporting men who are in the forefront and who are actually open about their own personal experiences of trauma and healing. So thank you so much, Rubben, for coming.
Dude, thank you for having me.
So we really appreciate you being here, nice and relaxed with your water in front of you.
Thank you very much. The hospitality is great.
Yeah. So let's begin first in terms of the silence that surrounds men, that force them to still stay in that, not talking about trauma, not talking about the struggles that they go through.
Well, the silence is really fueled by our society and the people around us. And I can't really just blame it on the men alone, because it starts with the men. The men are usually the instigators for the silence that a lot of the guys go through. You know, if a guy starts crying, you're told to be a man. If you want to come out to another dude and tell him about what you're struggling with, they'll tell you, bro, I ain't got time for that. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know? And then with all of that, it goes back into the women in our lives as well, because they will tell you, I need a man. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
What's with the emotions, bro?
Yeah.
So a lot of the little comments that we get, they fuel a lot of the silence that people still, keep to themselves.
And expectations that is there for men to be very masculine.
Yes, of course. I mean,
toxic masculinity.
When people say, I want a masculine man, we know what they mean. Okay, they want a guy with muscles, deep voice, and walks like he owns 500 horses or something.
And who's always strong and can be able to carry it all together.
Yes.
Now tell us about your own personal experience in terms of trauma and your journey to healing.
The trauma that I actually have, I didn't even realize it was trauma up until late in high school. You start having weird nightmares and dreams, and you get triggered easily based on certain things that are happening either in the society or around you. And you get to realize that certain things that you keep dreaming about, or the nightmares, are actually things that actually happened a few months, years back. And for me personally, these were things that happened in primary school that I forgot about. I think it was a whole repressed memory situation. And they really did affect me from my personal life, career, school, all of that. They really do take a toll on you. And if you aren't awake enough to want to tackle them head on, they can really mess you up. I mean, there's a lot of people who would have ignored that and really just focused on either growing professionally and all. But if in my experience, there's a lot of people who've grown career-wise, but mentally they're still lacking. Mentally they're still very much damaged. Mentally they still want help. They need help. And all of this can be attributed to how they release the stress. And some of them go about abusing people, and it's because they haven't dealt with a lot of the things in their minds.
Now, when did you first realize that, here's a problem? Because after a while, those nightmares just become a norm. You know what I mean? It's just a nightmare. But when did you start realizing that, now I have a problem here? Was it through depression when it started manifesting, or how?
Even when I was depressed, I didn't even think it was depression. In my mind, I was like, I'm just sad because this happened. I'm sad because I failed what? I'm sad because that. But depression didn't really exist in our family. It's not something you talk about. It is not a word or vocabulary that exists. So I realized I was depressed. I think first or second year university. So to say, I think that's when I said, okay, now I'm depressed. What did I do about it? Well, I actually didn't do anything. My best friend's sister at the time noticed that I was depressed, and what she did was actually book what's the word?
A psychologist?
A psychologist for me, yeah.
Yeah.
She booked it without my consent.
Okay.
Called me and said, Rubben, I need you to go talk to this person. I already paid.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I need you to go talk to this human being.
How did it manifest, though, the depression for you as a guy?
How did it manifest?
Yeah.
I think the people around me not taking mental health seriously, it just made it worse,
Okay.
so to say, until I went and started talking about a lot of the things that were bringing me down. At some point I was a bit suicidal, but the funny thing is I was the funniest guy around.
Yeah, the happy-go-lucky guy.
Everybody knows I'm the happiest dude around. Everybody.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people who will see this will be like, wait, you were depressed at the time?
Yeah.
Suicidal too? Man, come on, you're lying.
Yeah. you spoke about trauma showcases itself in different avenues, and with some people, sometimes the triggers come when you're in a relationship. Did you find that true to yourself, or when you're dealing with women?
There were some moments where I was triggered because of the relationship or relationships that I was in, and it was difficult to kind of tackle it with the people or the person that you're in a relationship with at the time. Mostly because they wouldn't understand, and secondly because they don't expect you to react the way you do. So you kind of keep to yourself and want to deal with things yourself instead of bringing it out to them, because you already know how women fight, yo.
But did you see them as triggers at the time, or did you just think that this is just a situation, it's normal?
No, I saw them as triggers. I was very much triggered when it comes to a lot of things, yeah.
And what did you learn about yourself in the process?
Yo, guys, I think the amount of self-control that I have is astonishing. Honestly, I've been put in situations where other men have reacted differently.
Yeah.
And I think the self-control, I realized that I'm actually very strong. I'm actually extremely strong to have not reacted in ways that otherwise would have been fatal.
And because what I'm trying to really get at is that our triggers are brought on by our own wounds. Did you see your wounds?
I did. I did. And then I had to take time to myself to just go through healing, reading books, talking to people that I really, really trusted. And with that came meditation as well. I discovered meditation, so that also helps.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that, like your healing journey, because it first started with being forced to see a counselor, and where we are right now. So between the journey from then and now.
Well,
let's start with the counseling. How was that for you? Your first time experiencing counseling?
I cried.
Yeah, okay. How was that? What was that like?
First of all, I'm a guy that grew up with a dad that wasn't afraid to cry.
Oh,
okay.
beautiful.
So I was blessed enough to have a father that actually shed a few tears.
Yeah, that showed his emotion.
Yes, he did. He actually did. Was my best friend.
Yeah.
And so for the first time, I cried and talking about a lot of things. Sorry, side note.
Yeah.
I just want to say, my best friend's sister, I think I call her every year and say, yo, you saved my life.
Oh, wow.
She really did.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for her, I probably don't know where we would be.
Yeah.
So, the healing journey, apart from me shedding a few tears for the first time growing up, I started going through a lot of processes of unlearning and relearning and just dealing with things head on, facing conversations that otherwise we would run away from. And it really helped me to become more brave and more outspoken about mental health for men. Unpack
that for me. Unpack the unlearning part.
Well, the unlearning part, you personally, I'm Caprivian.
Yeah.
And you know how Caprivian dads or Caprivian families or Caprivian men are raised.
Yeah.
As to how we look at women, how we are to address women, how we are to, what's the word?
Even address yourself.
Yeah, address yourself and how you expect women to be and all that. So I had to unlearn my expectations for women. I had to unlearn how and what kind of women I want in my life. And a lot of that has actually changed how I see women. And I think because of all that unlearning, it's almost slightly difficult for me to get in a relationship now, because because I always tell I always tell some of my friends like, yo,
Yeah.
I don't think I want to marry a Caprivian because a lot of Caprivian women are slightly robotic. No offense, but they're kind of raised to kind of tend to us.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to marry a girl that's gonna be like a maid towards me. You know,
but then culturally, there's a lot of cultures that are very patriarchal.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I don't want that. I want someone that's equal with me, someone that's gonna work as hard as me, and so that we can just grow and build an empire
Together,
yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So where are you right now? Is counseling more of a, because you know what I feel about counseling, or even therapy, just in general. It's like a regular checkup. It's not a once-off. Just like the same as healing. Healing is not like, oh, I'm healed.
No,
it's like a constant progress.
Yes,
so how are you progressing now? How are you maintaining your sanity?
Well, there's a lot of music
Involved
with keeping myself sane. I surround myself with really strong men, positive men that are on the same journey of conversation, of mental health, and constantly checking in it with each other. Like, are you good?
Yeah.
You know, and that really helps. That really helps.
You guys have created a bond, basically, and you've created this safe space for men to be, to feel, and to express. Other men don't have that. So how are you guys able to do that? And how can others that's listening in right now, how can they create a safe space for them to cherish one another and build themselves up?
Firstly, honesty. Just be honest with the dudes around you. If you're feeling some type of way, honestly, you need to be honest with the guys around you. Express it. And based on how they react, it can either lead you to either growing stronger or further apart.
Yeah.
Some of the guys I've grown closer to in the past few years were not people that I was actually close to 5-10 years back. You know, and the guys that I was close to 5-10 years back are not close with me now. It's because of how we reacted to each other's situations. The guys around me now, they really support the whole journey. You know, in fact, it's November, right? New month.
Yeah.
Actually moved into a new place right now.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I also wanted to touch on. Some of the places and spaces we stay in, we don't realize actually trigger us. My previous place that I lived in, that I was renting in, had a lot of memories and certain things that you would think about. It's not you wanting to think about it.
It wasn't a conducive environment.
They just kept creeping in.
Yeah.
So new spaces, always look out for them as well.
And that's both internally and externally.
Internally and externally, yes.
Wow. Thank you so much, Rubben, for coming.
No problem.
Highly appreciate you sharing your story. And if you could give just 3 tips to someone who is going through the healing process and it seems so emotionally exhausting, what would you say?
3 tips.
5. You want to give 5? You want to give 10 rooms?
Someone who's on the same journey.
Because you know how hard it is.
It is hard. It is hard. Number one, honestly, if you have professional help, that's number one.
Yeah.
If you don't, please look out for professional help. I was one that really stayed away from them, but I think I understand now why these people actually go to school to try and help us be sane. Number 2, surround yourself with positive people that will help you and promote your health, both physically and mentally. Number 3, be intentional about your journey. Be intentional about your health. Be intentional about everything around you. You know, shut down conversations that you don't want to have. People may say you're rude, but if you don't want to be in a certain space, don't do it. You know, I look at conversations and clothes the same way. I don't buy a T-shirt that I don't see myself putting on. So I don't get in conversations that I don't see myself having.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me.
No, I love it.
All right.
You're more than welcome here anytime. This is home for you.
Thank you.
That was Rubben Mabuku, who's just talking us through his own personal testimony, his personal trauma, his personal healing. And we're just, for the month of November, like we said, we're trying to create a safe environment for healing for men as we celebrate Movember.